A significant amount of UFO sightings have come out of eastern Kentucky in the last few decades, many of those stories drawing national attention from groups like MUFON and NUFORC. Most of them found their way into archives or books on the extraterrestrial subject, but as with so many other things, both natural and supernatural, the mountains hide a lot of secrets. For one family in a small eastern Kentucky town in the 1990s, there was more than one secret hiding in the woods on their property. Jane Doe and her 7-year-old daughter lived alone in a small ranch-style home on an 80-acre property Jane inherited when her parents died. They were there in the front yard of that small ranch house one evening when a stranger's vehicle pulled up and two people emerged, a man late 20s or early 30s and a woman mid to late 50s. It wasn't uncommon for estranged relatives to drop in from time to time, some even traveling there from out of state to poke and prod about the inheritance issues and voiced their disapproval of Jane's ownership of the property. The controversy within the family about the inheritance was a persistent one, despite there not being much to pass down besides mountainous scrubland, most of which was inaccessible and therefore useless due to the topography of the Appalachian terrain. A decade before, part of the land had been strip mined, leaving what was by then an overgrown access road that led to a high flat point in the mountain which was immensely isolated. No one outside of the immediate family had knowledge of this. So when the two strangers introduced themselves as long-lost relatives from Michigan who were in urgent need of a place to stay, Jane easily gave in and agreed to help them. The story of where they fit into the family made perfect sense. The two, a mother and son, seemed just as much a part of the family as anyone else. They knew everyone's names, all the grandparents and great aunts, the daughters, the grandchildren. For all intents and purposes, they were telling the truth about their identity. But there was something strange about the pair and about their urgent need to get moved into this small town they had never been to before. Over the next couple of months, Jane and her daughter tried to get to know the two, spending a significant amount of time with them as they worked diligently to get their affairs in order. By midsummer, their mobile home was placed at the high flat point back in the mountain, and before even obtaining basic services like water or power, the two quickly moved in. But it wasn't long before the man and his mother would begin to report inexplicable activity, both in the woods outside of the mobile home and in the night sky. The man and his mother's behavior slowly changed. Their demeanor grew cold and distant. The two had never seemed to have much interest in reuniting with other local relatives, and both of them became strangely evasive during conversations about their past. Jane wrote it off as just a side effect of their struggle to assimilate into a new environment. Then one day they emerged from the mountain road bright and early, frantically recalling the events from the previous night. The ground had shaken, rattling their mobile home. Blindingly bright lights poured through every window, and in the morning sun they discovered that the scrub grass around their trailer was discolored as if it had been exposed to exorbitant levels of heat and light. The pair claimed they no longer felt safe living on the grounds of the old strip mine, incidentally a place where multiple UFO sightings had occurred decade after decade, and said they'd be leaving as soon as possible. And that's exactly what they did, and Jane and her family never heard from the two mysterious relatives ever again. So was this incident an elaborate excuse for the out-of-town relatives to absolve themselves of their obligations and flee? Or were they even relatives at all? Perhaps they were con artists who got more than they bargained for. Regardless of their intentions or the truth, what exactly could have caused the burns around the mobile home? Or was that too part of an elaborate scheme? We may never know. Leave a comment and let me know what you think. And don't forget to follow for more spooky stuff.